Hey there, Charlie Macklin here, and this is an update to the firing line, my Burning Man art project idea. Let's take a closer look at this scale model, 1/9 scale. It's got, this is a 6-torch design, and got it saying the firing line right there. And there, over here it says Juramentum Ignis, which is Latin for the oath of fire. And as discussed in the previous videos, the way this would work is you would have clear tubing running to these tubes here, and the torch would send a pulse flame through the tube, illuminating the clear acrylic tubing. I decided to go with a clear acrylic because it just looks so cool. If you've seen pictures of the colored acrylic tubing, it's really brilliant. But I'll go with a red and blue theme, and I might throw some orange in there just to give it a little bit of flash. It'll be a real simple frame structure bent out of conduit. I did this by hand just with some spare parts and built this little octagonal table, but I want to use a full-scale table, and full-scale setup would be about 9 feet tall. The man himself would be 6.5 feet tall, just a large male figure. And I'm sure I could illuminate it with LED lighting and just really get a brilliant effect. I want to use a clear acrylic cylinder for the head and just sort of bend the tube to get the neck and head shape. These parts here were a little more difficult to heat and bend manually because it's just weed eater string and fuel hose painted and just junk I had laying around. But you can see with this style you can bend the figure's tubing to get really a shape of the different muscles and everything that is part of the human form. I originally tried using a more of a skeleton structure that was more resemblant of an actual human skeleton, and it just didn't look right. So I think this is a pretty cool design, and I'm looking to get a grant for some help with the financing of building one for real for Burning Man. I'm going to skip to another little video real quick regarding the safety of the flame tube. I had originally planned for a linear layout of benches where you pulled the torch trigger and it would go to the statue, but I got to looking at the flow rates and the way the flame went through the tube and sort of the max distance it could go, and it just made more sense to put it in a table. So at the event, participants can come up and have a seat and pull the triggers, and be pretty fun. Okay, so hopefully you can see this adequately. So here's the torch, here's the clear tubing arrangement that would go to the colored tubing, and I'll just do a demonstration of the flame running through it. The lights are on, so it won't be very visible, but you'll be able to see enough of it. Notice the flame is going right across my thumb. It's I wouldn't say it's harmless, but it's not causing any pain or any issue. So the only issue would be very, very dry clothing or hair, and as long as the exhaust ports are away from any people, it should be fine. There is a little bit of flashback in the air intake for the torch head, which I plan to put a protective shroud over it, keep dust out, and of course they'll be securely fastened to the table. Let's see if you can see that. Yeah, there's a little bit of flashback in that area sometimes, but all in all, a lot safer than a liquid fuel or open flame propane type arrangement. Well, that's it for this evening. Thanks, and have a great one.